What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in, guys. Myself, Kenton, and Edward bringing you guys these UFC 320 predictions. It should be a fun one. We waited a long freaking time for this card right here, man. So really looking forward to it. Gentlemen, we are not going to waste a lot of time here, guys. We got 5 main card fights for the people, and then each of us going to give you guys our favorite underdog of the night. So should be a lot of fun here. We are kicking things off with Abu Magomedov taking on Joe Pyfer. Pyfer comes in here a minus 250 favorite here in this fight. Magomedov going in plus 205. Kenton, I'm coming to you first, my man. 2 guys coming in here, 2 dogs coming in here. Joe Pyfer, though, a sizable favorite. Is he rightfully so?
I think it should be a little bit closer, I won't lie, but I do agree that I think he has the edge in this fight. I mean, ever since he's entered the UFC, since he was on his second appearance on the Contender Series, he's just been a dog through and through. And he has 1 UFC loss so far, coming to Jack Hermansson. And I really honestly see this being a very good fight between both of these fighters. But at the end of the day, I think that he comes away with it. He has a very solid resume too, with wins against Gastelum, Al Hassan, and Barrialt. So, I mean, I'm impressed with him, and I think that he can really go deep into this division. And at the end of the day, I don't think Magomedov is going to be enough to face him, especially with losses to. I mean, there's the argument that Magomedov has a bit more experience, especially against some tougher opponents. But, you know, ultimately he has lost to those opponents, for example, against Strickland, against Caio Borralho. So, I mean, I think this will be a nice, even, fun fight. But at the end of the day, I see Joe Pyfer coming away with this one.
Pyfer minus the 250. Cheddar, come on over to you, my man. Who you got here?
Abu Magomedov is the dog. He's going to be the dog, but he's a beautiful dog, and we love this dog. And he is going to storm in against Joe Pyfer the way that Joe Pyfer does everybody else, because the difference in this fight is that Joe Pyfer's resume sucks. I'm sorry. Kelvin Gastelum is a welterweight that has an eating disorder that can never actually fight to even a ranked opponent anymore at middleweight or welterweight, and he never makes weight. Marc-Andre Barriault is a human speed bag. He lost like 3 or 4 fights in a row by knockout. And Jack Hermansson, Grandpa Hermansson, who's got old school wrestling, and that's about it. He really doesn't have hands. Absolutely cooked him and gassed him out. And those are his last 3 fights. I mean, before that, sure, Abdul Razak Al Hassan, yes, he's a decent journeyman fighter. I don't put a lot of stock in him. He's clearly not a grappler. Joe Pyfer's got some decent jiu-jitsu, and he overwhelmed him, and he got him in the second round. Gerald Mearshart, I mean, do we really have to go down that road? He's got a worse mustache than I do, and the dude shouldn't be in the UFC anymore. The guy's he's been washed for about 4 years, and I think he just recently retired, so I won't speak ill of the dead. But, I mean, his resume is not impressive to me. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Abu Magomedov's resume is unbelievable, but what I will say is he actually has fought a guy like, well, he's fought Caio Borralho. He fought Sean Strickland. He's fought some journeymans. He's fought Michel Pereira, who's an up-and-comer who had all the hype in the world behind him. So he's had some real big fights. And he's also fought Dustin Stoltzfus, who is a tricky fighter as well. He's got some real fights under his belt. I think his resume is a little more impressive than Joe Pyfer's. He's shown some range. He showed that he can bounce back from a big spot. You know, Caio Borralho is no joke. Going Sean Strickland and Caio Borralho back-to-back, a former champ and a guy who's a top 5 ranked middleweight, that's no joke. And he took Borralho the distance. It's not like, you know, he got cooked in the second round or in the first round. Warley Alves, you know, whatever. That's kind of a weak fight. But Bruno Ferreira and Michel Pereira, those 2 fights back-to-back are impressive to me. The fact that he's a plus 205 dog, this is crazy. I thought this was a pick'em. So, I'm going up all day long. Give me a unit on the money line.
All right. Well, gentlemen. I'm in a little predicament here because I like the Abu pick here at the plus 205. The problem is
a beautiful dog.
He is a beautiful dog. He is, dude. I'll give it to you here. And Joe Pyfer, I'm with Kenton on the fact that I like him in this fight. I just don't like the price tag on the minus 250. So if you're going to look for a few dogs on this card, I don't hate it. going for Abu here, man. But for me, when it just comes, fighter for fighter right now, I do like me some Joe Pyfer, and I feel like he's finally getting some respect in a fight. So, hey, we will see what happens here, guys. Good luck in the first fight of the main card. Then we're moving on down here, man, to another fun one. I'm actually looking forward to this fight as well. We got Josh Emmett coming in plus 360 against Yusuf Zalal here, minus 470. We talked about it pre-show, man. Some of the odds are just not fully lining up here. Cheddar, I think you could argue this is one of those that you have to look at and go minus 470. You've looked at a lot of fight lines in your life. This one can't look right. But first, Kenton, my man, do you believe Zalal should be this big of a favorite here, minus 470?
Maybe not quite that big, but I do see him as a large favorite. I definitely don't see much of a world where Emmett comes away with this one. I'm going to be honest. I mean, Emmett has power that was displayed in his fight against God, how am I forgetting his name? Bryce Mitchell. God. That was displayed against him with the way that he flatlined him. But I mean, at the end of the day, Zalal's never been KO'd. So I don't know how much stock you can put behind that. And plus, it's not like Josh Emmett is constantly knocking out his opponents. I mean, that was one KO win like over the span of like a couple of years. So I don't think we can put that much stock behind his power. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are doing when they're picking Josh Emmett in the first place. And then there's also the fact that Zalal has managed to come into the UFC and just continue to really impress going against guys that are, some solid opponents. Obviously he's still up and coming. He still has a resume to build, but I think that Josh Emmett matches the, I would say the difficulty level of the opponents he's been fighting so far. And he's had a lot of good success so far. So I don't think that this is going to be too crazy of a pick for me to say that I think it's obvious that Zalal comes away with this one. And I mean, also there's the fact that Zalal is big on submissions. That's majority of his wins for one thing. And I mean, the loss to Yair that Emmett had just showed the potential for that to happen. So, I mean, recently I wouldn't say that Emmett's fought too many people that have been looking for submissions, but now he's going against a guy like Zalal. And I think that that's going to be more likely than not.
Cheddar submission. Could that be in play here?
It's possible. I mean, I rarely bet props, and this isn't going to be one of the fights I start. But I will say this, to Kenton's point, here's what bothers me about this line. We just talked about fight history with the last two. Yusuf Zalal's wins are not really against anybody that is even in the world of a Josh Emmett opponent. I mean, Josh Emmett's history is insane. Well, Calvin Kattar's been falling off forever, and that was his most recent win. Jack Shore is an impressive fighter, but if I'm not mistaken, he just retired because of a head injury or something like that. I could be wrong there. Jarno Aarons, I mean, should the guy even be competitive in the UFC? Billy Q, okay, decent fighter, but also a journeyman. These are not wins over top 15 guys. These are not like guys that are in any way considering a run for the belt, or no one's looking at these guys to run for the belt. And Josh Emmett, on the other hand, has run through, he's lost many, but he's won many absolute wars with guys who are going to contend or have contended for the belt. And that's the difference. The problem on the price tag, look, if you take away age, and this is, one of those fantasy scenarios that doesn't really count, I think Josh Emmett's a favorite here. But the reality is Josh Emmett's 40 years old and Yusuf Zalal's like 29. So you have an 11-year age gap. Josh Emmett, people are betting against Josh Emmett, plain and simple, because of his age. That's it. And I don't think that's a smart move. I'm not taking Emmett as a dog because I don't like the age gap. Once it's 8 years, I stay away. But, I'm not betting Zalal at minus 400 or 500 or whatever he's at. That's kind of excessive. I made him as a minus 160. So, yeah, by the way, in terms of where I see this fight going, because I know I'm just talking about fight histories or whatever, what I think is going to actually happen in this fight is Zalal's going to establish the jab. He's going to get some range, and he's going to bother Josh Emmett in range. And Josh Emmett's going to get to the point where he's losing on the cards after a round, or late in the round, he's like, damn, I'm really behind in this fight. And he's going to have to start using power. And once Emmett goes to the well of I got to knock you out. He's just too old and too slow to be able to pull that off against a guy like Zalal. When he's doing that from a position of power where he's already ahead on the scorecards and he's looking for his shots and his counter strikes, that's different. When he's going to the well because he needs to catch up, that's something that Zalal's going to see coming from a mile out. So that's why I give the edge to Zalal. His speed, his age. Obviously, he's a well-rounded fighter, but Emmett's been in these battles before, man. I can't bet against him at that kind of I can't bet against him with those kind of odds. That's just too much.
I mean, here's the thing about it.
Really quick. We do got a quick comment here from Tyler Fish on YouTube. So, man, we appreciate you tapping in. If you guys are watching on YouTube, do us a favor, man. Drop your comments. If you like certain picks, if you got questions about certain fights, whatever it might be, do us a favor. Keep comments and click that subscribe button. We're live for you guys multiple days a week here. But do either of you want to answer or even respond to what he said here about got to go with Zalal because Emmett is just purely too simple?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call him a simple fighter. I think that he presents some unique threats and everything, but I do agree that like this is a pick where you got to go with Zalal at the end of the day. If you are picking at all, I don't think the value warrants any sort of like betting pick in terms of that. But if you are putting together a parlay and you're including this fight, you're looking at a money line, then I think the obvious choice is Zalal.
Okay. Ken, sorry, before I cut you off, what else did you have for this one here?
Oh, I was just going to go back quickly to what he was saying about the resume things. The thing is, like, he has gone against those people, sure, but when you're looking at just the fact of like what level he's at and where he like is competing and where he is having success, I mean, he has a very similar resume outside of his losses to Ilya and to Yair. I mean, Bryce Mitchell, Calvin Kattar, they both fought Calvin Kattar. Dan Ige, who, solid, but I don't know if I would put him
Kind
as
of
like
loves him some Dan Ige, boy. So
like,
be careful.
I mean, he's definitely fought some solid people, but there's also the fact that, as I said, like Youssef Zalal still new. He's still got a resume to build. And I mean, and I think to this point, I think the fighters that he's fought are pretty solid. And like, yeah, as much as like Josh Emmett is a unique challenge, I think at the end of the day, looking at resumes, they're closer than they appear at first glance.
I mean, there are two Youssef Zalals here. There's the one before he went on a brutal skid and got cut by the UFC and was getting mowed down by, journeyman fighters like Sean Woodson, who I consider a journeyman fighter. I know a lot of people disagree with me there. He did lose to Ilia Topuria back in the day. So, yes, he's got that fight under his belt. But this is like the first stint in the UFC resume where he's got some interesting fights. Austin Lingo, Chepe Mariscal. There are some legitimate fighters that are on his resume, but he didn't win any of them. And they're really not, I mean, he beat Austin Lingo for whatever that's worth, but he didn't really win any of them. And, he obviously had this second wave where he came back to the UFC. And I'm sorry, Calvin Kattar, to me, I think there are guys, I think I can pick at least 3 or 4 guys that are not ranked right now that I would bet to beat Calvin Kattar very confidently. He's just not the same fighter anymore. They fought them at different times. And, Emmett has been fighting ranked opponents for the last 7 or 8 years. And, it's not really the same when you compare them. We compare the two of them. And as for the comment about the not to pick on the guy who commented, but about Emmett being a simple fighter, or I don't know if that's what was intended by the comment, but Emmett is not a simple fighter. I was just talking about the difference in his boxing style. When he's ahead, most fighters will point fight when they're ahead in a fight. And Josh Emmett, time and time again, just absolutely cooks people late in fights. It catches them off guard. And it's especially, he's so effective when he's ahead. When he's behind, he's won a lot of fights by knockout when he was behind. But what makes the one thing where I could agree with you here is if Zalal's ahead halfway through the fight, we're 2-3 minutes into round 2, and Zalal's really racking up the numbers on the scorecards here, then I can see where you can call Emmett a simple fighter because he's just going to be looking for a bomb. And he's willing to take a lot of punishment because he knows he's got a chin that can handle it. So I can see that. But that means you're banking on the fact that Zalal's going to just walk through him for a round and a half, which
Yep.
No, I just don't think you can bank on that at minus 470. That's all I'm saying.
Cheddar, one quick reply from Tyler Fish here. He only has a few techniques and he relies on hooks and overhands, too simple and predictable. That is the response. If you got anything else.
Well, then half of the ranked contenders in the UFC are less less intelligent and more predictable than he is because he's cooked half of them. I don't agree, plain and simple. He does have a really powerful hook, but he doesn't rely on it. He's great at getting into space, and he's also an excellent defensive wrestler. Also, his build. I mean, any kind of a wrestler going into this fight, I know it's not the situation that we're in, but who the hell's taking Josh Emmett down? The guy's a fire hydrant, and he's got a decent wrestling build and background. So, yeah, he may be a bit of a brawler in there, but when you have that kind of a chin and that insane power for that weight class, yeah, I mean, you're going to win. It's like having a star wide receiver and you throw him a 50-50 ball. Yeah, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb or Malik Neighbors or Justin Jefferson or whoever. Like, I'm taking them in that 50-50 ball all day. So you can call it simple, but I just call it better.
Well, I'm going to be that guy then. Give me Josh Emmett money line. Too much disrespect going on here in the chat between you two right here. I'm over it, man. And you guys already pointed it out. You even said, one, he's beaten guys when he's been down before. This guy, you said if he was a little bit younger, you'd probably be looking at him in here in this fight. Look, I'm with you. He should be a dog here, but this is freaking ridiculous. You can't tell me that Zalal minus 500. What's there? You going to put that in your parlay? I don't think it's worth it. If I'm going to try a couple dogs here this week, I don't hate the Abu in the very first fight, and I don't hate Josh Emmett here again, man. You hit either of those, you're still up money. So I'm going to keep rolling here. I get another dog. All I got to do is hit 1 of 3, bro. This is my dog number 2. Approach with caution, folks. But I think Josh Emmett here, if he's going to have one more big-time win, one more big-time knockout, maybe Zalal's looking past him, I still think he's a dangerous fighter. So I'll go ahead and be the guy that falls on the sword here. I'll probably be sitting there 45 seconds in with my guy's face down going, fuck. But that's okay. I can live with it here. So good luck to you guys there in that one. We're jumping on over to a fight that is really good. I know a lot of people looking forward to this one. We've had some messages asking us about this fight. So time to jump on in. Fight number 3 on the main card. Yuri Prochazka coming in minus 200 here on the money line. Khalil Roundtree plus 165. A couple people DM'd us and said, you think Roundtree's getting disrespected? Is Roundtree the pick here? Everybody's kind of looking towards the dog, it sounds like, in this one. Kenton, coming over to you, my man. Khalil Roundtree plus 165. Is it good enough to take a shot on the dog here?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Here's my issue with Yuri Prochazka. I think that he is a solid fighter, but I'm simply not seeing enough from him. He's not as active as Khalil Roundtree, for one thing. And there's, in his past 3 losses, his past 3 fights, he's had 2 losses to Pereira in round 2. And Pereira's a super strong opponent. It's not necessarily fair to, bank everything on that, of course. But I'm not just saying, that's not my only reason, I mean, he's just not been as impressive as he was during, 2021, 2022, when he was, going for the belt against Glover Teixeira and all that. And then even after that happened, it took him over a year to fight again. And I mean, I'm excited about the fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it'll be close, but Roundtree is a lot more active, and he recently went against Alex Pereira, and he went deep into that fight against Pereira. And I don't think that comes down to any issue on Alex Pereira's part. I think that Alex Pereira is still a very strong contender. But I think that Roundtree is finally really showing the challenges that he can present. He's really turning into the fighter that he could be. And I'm excited about that. And I think ultimately this is going to be a close fight, but this is exactly what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be a brawl. I think they're going to go at it. And I think it's going to go to about round 3 when Khalil Roundtree wins by TKO over Yuri Prochazka.
All right. I got to say, Tyler, definitely agree with you. I think this is going to be the fight of the day or fight of the card for sure. It's the one to watch. It's going to be the most exciting. But Kenton, hard to disagree on this one again, man. I'm sorry. here's the difference between Yuri and Jamal Hill, because we both kind of put them both in this box of they're not really established, they're goofy, they're overhyped, whatever. I'm not saying you did that, but generally the fan base kind of does that a lot. And you look at a guy like Khalil Roundtree, who's clearly a Muay Thai practitioner with very good boxing, and he really, really is a high-level Muay Thai practitioner, which is rare to find somebody at light heavyweight with that level of skill and background in that sport. The difference is Khalil Roundtree against Jamal Hill is a guy who's very tight. He's got a very tight game. He's got a very tight boxing ability, and he's very high-level Muay Thai practitioner against a brawler, a guy who brawls and throws bombs, who's sloppy, which is Jamal Hill. And they land sometimes, and when he catches you, he catches you. That's it. That works against guys who are not ranked. And we saw, even though the light heavyweight division was kind of weak when he made his run up, I think we're going to see Jamal Hill just trickle down the ranks again and go back to where he belongs in the bottom of the top 15 at most. Yuri Prochazka is unconventional. That's not a brawler. That's a guy who's unconventional, who hits you from different angles. He's going to throw a spinning back elbow. He's going to hit you with some kind of a goofy head jerk knee up the middle that doesn't make any sense, that any kickboxing coach would tell you not to do, but he's going to do it anyway. He's also got a hell of a chin, Yuri. And regarding his fight history, going back to 2021, let's not forget the Alexander Rakic fight. That was a masterclass and a brawl between the two of them. Not that one put on a masterclass for the other. It was just a very, very, very high-level fight. And it was really great to watch because a lot of people thought Rakic was going to be the next champ. I think Khalil will get frustrated with the fact that he gets hit on entries with these goofy angles and these goofy shots that he's going to tighten up and he's going to cut down on his volume. He's going to stick to a simple jab, or he's going to try and clinch, and he's going to get caught on these exchanges. I take it Yuri on the cards, but I'm just taking the money line in a parlay. Give me Yuri minus 200, and I'll pair him up with somebody else.
Yuri minus the 200 here. Obviously, Tyler tapping in saying Khalil excels in a clean fight, controlling Yuri. Yuri will not allow that. Look, man, this is a really tough call here, and I think Kenton was right on the money when it comes to the value here has got to be on Khalil Roundtree. I think that there's a lot more for him to gain in this fight than I think there is for Yuri. You kind of got to go out here and defend that you're still that dude. You're still on your way to keep being one of the dominant guys in the division here. So I like Yuri here. Like if this was a pick'em, 110, I'm taking Yuri every single time, I think. I don't really think I'm even going to consider Roundtree. I just don't fully trust him from the well-rounded game point of view. But I can't look at the man. I can't look at this dude and be like, well, he ain't going to knock out Yuri, because he might, bro. All that said, though, I've already taken 2 dogs. Am I really going to take another dog here? It genuinely doesn't feel right, but I've come this far. So I will take Khalil Roundtree here to pull the upset, only because of the value. Once again, guys, today, I'm not giving you my winners. I'm giving you the value. And I think the value has been on the dog 3 fights in a row. The right guys have been favored. They've just been favored by too much. So for that reason, I'll find myself here. But Cheddar, I know you got to tell me something, man. So let me
at the end of the day, would you rather pick or bet on the guy who is more reserved and arguably too conservative about how he throws, or the guy who takes unnecessary risk? That's how I look at this fight.
Well, you know me. I mean, I like unnecessary risk, but I also like value. And so for that reason,
I think Khalil's going to be way too reserved in this fight. He's going to get confused, and he's going to be too reserved, and he's not going to throw the volume he's going to need to win. And Yuri's going to hit him with goofy angles. That's just how I see it. I think Yuri, time and time again, just absolutely throws unnecessary risk into the fight. And because he's got such a chin, it's oftentimes why he wins. And against a guy like Pereira, that's why he didn't win, is because Pereira was okay with that. He was okay with all right, you want to fight that way? No problem. Let's get into the mix. And Pereira's better. He was just better in those brawls. But anyway, I don't think Khalil is better in those exchanges, and I think he will be too reserved. But
I think that you are completely underestimating Khalil Roundtree. I'm just going to be honest here. I think you are absolutely underestimating him. I think we have seen, sure, there's situations where he's been too reserved, but there have also been a lot of situations where he has not been afraid to put on the pressure. And I think we saw that, especially against Pereira. And if we're saying that Pereira is not afraid to do that too, then I think that's a valid argument right there. And then on top of that, it's like the whole thing about throwing unnecessary risks that could definitely work out in his favor, but it could also absolutely work against him, especially if we're looking at it from a perspective of Roundtree being more reserved. Because if he's waiting and looking for an opportunity, and then Yuri on the other side is making crazy throws, taking unnecessary risks, I don't see in a lot of situations that wouldn't pay off for Yuri. So I think plain and simple, you're just underestimating Roundtree here.
I get it, but I gotta say though, that makes sense when you're talking about two boxers, two kickboxers, two Muay Thai practitioners, and one throws unnecessary risk. Then yes, I would agree with you. What I'm saying is Khalil's not going to have the opportunity to counter the way that he would want to, which is why he's going to have to be a little more reserved in this fight, which is why he's going to default to that. Because how are you defending or countering an elbow up the middle, that's followed by just a bear hug into a pummel situation, which is the weird kind of crap that Yuri does. Like Khalil doesn't know how to defend. Nobody does. That's the whole point. I mean, it's just so unconventional. It's not really something that you can prepare for. And yeah, regarding the Pereira fight, Khalil threw caution to the wind in the Pereira fight because he was losing and it was a title fight. I just don't see an opportunity where, and by the way, he's dealing with a straight up kickboxer. That's a sport that he knows well and he's familiar with, and he knows where his angles are. This is not a kickboxer. This is just a goofy, bizarre, mixed martial artist, practitioner of a million different forms of martial arts that, he likes to throw the goofy angles at you. And yeah, it's a risk. I don't think the line is way too inflated. I made Yuri as a -170. I think -200 is fair. But yeah, we're just going to disagree on this one. I'm just throwing – I don't think I'm underestimating Khalil. I think what I'm doing is saying Khalil is going to get confused, and it's only a 3-round fight. He doesn't have a lot of time to figure it out.
I think you're both on the right track here, and I think you both have a very good argument of where you're going with this. Cheddar, I will say, I know Kenton said he thinks you were – whatever the wording was, completely undervaluing. I know you. I don't think you're completely undervaluing him, but you did just kind of, I heard that little correction there. You said, I have him a -170, but I'm cool with -200. I know if it was the other way around though, and you like the dog in this fight, you'd be saying this line's not right. And so for me, I have to look at it and say, I think there is a little bit of value there. I agree with you too. I think that if he is too reserved, he's in big, big trouble here. Tyler even pointed it out here. If he loses control, if he starts to shell up, if anything happens early on, it's probably over before it starts. And this could end up being a really buzzkill of a fight, and it's really going to really suck if Roundtree sits out there and just, tries to huddle around and hit one or two hooks. It's not going to work. Kenton, though, like you said, man, you got to assume this dude knows that that's what they're thinking. And the Yuri side, it's just, hey, we're going to prep him a little bit. This guy's going to step back. He's not going to want to throw. He's going to be reserved. Like we said, I don't think Roundtree has a lot to lose in this fight. So for me, I don't see why he plays the safe card here. We will see what happens. The dude has enough power. He could be down 2 rounds, 2 10-8s, and he could win this thing in the 3rd round. So there's value on a dog like that, man, but only time will tell. We cannot keep debating this one, guys. So best of luck to you in the 3rd fight on the main card. Then we're getting into it. We got Merab coming in here, a -410 favorite. The disrespect on every fight just keeps coming in, man. Corey Sandhagen +320 in the co-main event of the evening. Look, I know Merab is kind of on his tear right now. Seems like no one can touch him on the other side. Corey Sandhagen, the dude's kind of aging out a little bit. Cheddar, I've been doing shows with you long enough. I know you don't love the older age coming into some of these fighters here, man, but Kenton, let's start here with you, my brother. +320 on Corey Sandhagen.
Okay, I'll be very succinct on this one. The disrespect for Corey isn't like from most of the fans, but it does exist. It's this Merab is just going to run through anybody. He beat Umar, so he's indestructible. It's all over, whatever.
It was the Sean fights. The Sean
I
fights
mean,
did this
that,
narrative.
yeah,
You
fair. But Sean O'Malley is, a number 5 or a number 7 fighter in that
Yeah.
division, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I love watching him fight. He's super exciting, but give him a wrestler and he's got problems. Like, he's not beating Umar. That's not
Yeah.
happening. Anyway, look, dog value's there. Do I think Merab wins? Probably. I think I'd make Merab like a -180 or a -200, maybe a -220 in this fight. 400, whatever the hell he's at. I mean, it's insane. Another fight where it's totally out of whack. One thing I talk about all the time that all three of us talk about, is the trajectory of fighters. These guys aren't old yet. They're 33 and 34 or 32 and 33. I forget, but they're like a year apart in age. And Corey improves every single fight. And that's saying a lot, because his last 10 fights, 8 of them, I'm just double checking my work here.
Mhm.
Yeah, his last 10 fights, 8 of his last 10 fights were against top 5 ranked opponents or former champions. And the other 2 that weren't were against the number 7 and number 10 contender. He fought Davison Figueiredo, who was ranked 5th, Umar, who was ranked 2nd at the time, Song Yadong, who was ranked 10th at the time, Chito Vera, who was ranked 4th at the time, Rob Font 7th, Jan, the interim champ, Dillashaw, former champ, Aljo, who was ranked 2nd at the time, Frankie Edgar, before he had chin problems, or I think this was the beginning of his chin problems, was ranked 5th at the time, and Marlon Moraes, who was the number 1 contender at the time. Those are his last 10 fights. That's insane. That's a disgusting resume. 10 fights ago, Merab was fighting John Dodson and Cody Stamann. So I'm not saying Merab doesn't have a great resume. He does. Don't get me wrong. It's just a little bit more recent. That's all. And his his wins are impressive, but his wins, he's also improved a lot in every fight, but he's fought the same style every fight, and nobody except for one guy has been able to crack that code. And that one guy was Jose Aldo. Do you want to know what the takedown statistics were in that fight? For those of you who don't remember, Merab went 0 for 16 on takedown attempts in a 3-round fight against Jose Aldo. 0 for 16. I'm not saying that Merab isn't a good wrestler. He's a very good wrestler. But what I've said in his past fights is he has no ability to control people on the ground. He shoots takedowns to score points, and it's fairly easy for his opponents to stand up, unless you're Sean O'Malley and you have no wrestling ability whatsoever. When Merab's out there against a guy like Corey Sandhagen, who is a very high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner, who's got great wrestling and is 5 times the boxer that Merab is, the issue that we're going to see is that Corey is not going to be able to take the amount of risks on the feet that he wants to, because he's going to be, watching out for the takedown from Merab, the inevitable takedown. His own coach said that he wants Corey to go for more takedowns, because not a lot of people try to take Merab down. I don't think that's the best game plan in the world, but should we see that out of Corey, what we will see is a little bit more aggression and a little bit more of a liberal approach on the feet, which is what he needs to win. So I don't hate the approach, but I don't love it. I just want to see Corey let loose on the feet and trust the fact that he's so good at getting up and that his gas tank is good enough to at least come close to matching Merab. That's his path to victory. I mean, obviously, I hope he's done a shitload of cardio in preparation for this fight. And if he has, he's going to be getting taken down and standing up a lot. But that said, that if you know that going in and you're comfortable enough with your ability to stand up, it allows you to let loose on the feet. What Umar didn't have is the boxing ability of Corey. What Sean O'Malley didn't have is the ability to stand up that Corey has. And you put those two together, and that's Corey Sandhagen. We'll see what happens in this fight. I love the dog spot here. I'm taking 2 units on it.
Ken, you joining the train, man?
Honestly, I just can't bet against Merab in this one. I really can't. He's done nothing but win for the past several years. I think his last loss was 2018. And he's fought a lot of top contenders here. Even back like in his last 10 fights, when you're talking about fighters like John Dodson and Cody Stamann. I mean, Stamann was 19-3 at that point, And I mean, at the end of the day, I think that going back that far and saying that that's not, a valid test, I don't agree with that.
Mm.
And then there's just also the fact that Corey over and over has struggled to, finish the job against the top dogs in the division. He is one of the top contenders in the division for sure. He's very solid, but I mean, I've always viewed him more as like a gatekeeper than anything else. And that's my issue with Corey Sandhagen in this fight. I don't think that he's going to really break away from that, especially against a guy like Merab. And then there's also just the fact that, like, I don't know, I don't see the value in the same way. I think that really that's like, I don't know, that's just an easy way to lose there, taking plus 320 on Corey. I don't see that hitting, just realistically. I don't get me wrong. I agree that Corey Sandhagen is a dog. He has a lot of strengths in a lot of different areas. And honestly, I'm rooting for him. I'm going to be watching the fight. I'm going to be hoping that he comes away with it. But realistically, I do not see it happening.
So I got one question, then I'll shut up. You keep going here. Do you think that Corey Sandhagen has shown a significant amount of improvement every single fight for, let's say, his last 8 fights?
His last 8 fights?
Honestly, you think he's improved every fight?
Honestly, I'm going to say he's been about the same. Like, I'm not going to lie. I think that he's been, I've always seen him as a strong fighter, a strong contender, and someone who can really make it tough for fighters. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, he doesn't win. And that's
where we disagree.
How it's continued to be,
I'll get that later.
So, I mean, that's just how it's continued to be throughout. I mean, he's won against, in his last 5 fights, he's, 4-1, incredible against some very strong opponents. Absolutely. But it's Yadong Song, Marlon Vera, Rob Font, and Davison Figueiredo. And the question that I have on my mind to get about those 4 wins, solid wins, again, absolutely. But I don't see any of those 4 fighters really making a legitimate run for the title. I'm not going to lie.
So here's where I see his improvements, and I guess Tyler's on your side on this one, but that's okay. He had a loss against TJ Dillashaw, which I thought he won, and then he lost to Peter Yan. That was in 2021. After that, he comes back, and the next big star up-and-comer, Song Yadong, he absolutely cooked. I mean, he put on a masterclass against Song Yadong. Then they give him just a straight-up boxer, just a guy who is just known as the boxer in the division, and he cooks him and Marlon Vera. And then they're like, we're going to feed you another boxer. Okay, no problem. He gets Rob Font, cooks Rob Font. 2024 comes around, and they're like, okay, here's Umar, who everybody thinks is the second coming of Khabib. And he fought a pretty damn close fight with Umar. Umar went 5 for 13 on takedowns. They both landed relatively close in volume. I think Umar had 15 or 20 more total strikes. I might be off on that. But the majority of the strikes that Umar landed were on the ground. Corey Sandhagen did very well on the feet against Umar. So then, okay, he lost against Umar. Then what happened? 2025, they're like, fine, you can't deal with the wrestlers, the jiu-jitsu practitioners, the sambo guys. We'll give you somebody who's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, who's been steamrolling the division, who's a former champ, a division down. And he knocked him out in the second round. And, I mean, look, all I'm saying is that he makes the adjustments and he makes the improvements that he needs to every fight. I'm not saying Davison Figueiredo and Umar Nurmagomedov are in the same class of fighter. But my God, I mean, I think that if he had a rematch with Umar, that fight would have gone a little differently in the Davison Figueiredo spot instead of fighting Figueiredo there. I think he makes massive strides in each fight. And if you look at his takedown history, too, his takedown defense, it's improved like every year. Year on year, his takedown defense has improved as he fights more significantly difficult fighters. So, yeah, it's just – I think that he's in his prime right now. Let me check on their ages, by the way. They're 34 and 33. I think I was a year off. My bad. Corey Sandhagen's 33. I think he's in his prime right now. He's got 2 or 3 more good years on his career. And, man, I'll give you this scenario, Ken, and you tell me what you think. If Corey wins and beats Merab, who the hell's beating Corey Sandhagen?
I mean, honestly, probably not a lot of people, but I'm gonna be honest. That's why I said I viewed him as more of like a gatekeeper, and like that's what I mean. Like if he can get over that hump, like of just like not being able to really finish against the top dogs, then I think that he could be unstoppable from that point. But the thing is, he hasn't, and he isn't. So that's where I'm drawing the line. And I mean, going back to what you're saying about Davison Figueiredo, since he moved up a division, he has 3 wins, and those came against Rob Font, Cody Garbrandt, and Marlon Vera. And I mean, those are the same fighters that Corey Sandhagen has fought in his last 5. And you know, as I said there, I really don't see those guys making a legitimate run to the title.
I think Font and Vera are legit opponents.
I don't know.
Corey
I don't know
fought
about
Font
Vera.
way
I think
earlier.
I
So,
think Vera
you know.
was severely overhyped.
Yeah,
I
that
think he
is
was
fair.
severely overhyped. I think that, and he got really exposed in his fight against.
Do you think he's a top 10
against O'Malley.
contender?
I think he's a top contender, but I don't think that he's going to actually make a run for the belt.
I think that's fair. I agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying Davison Figueiredo was next in line for the title shot. I think had he beat Corey, he might be. But it wasn't. Like to your point about him being a gatekeeper in the past, that may be his role. But when I think gatekeeper, I think Neil Magny. I think of guys like back in the day, Kelvin Gastelum, right? I don't see Corey as a gatekeeper in that regard, as somebody who just can't get over the top 5 hump. He's done it. He's beaten guys in the top 5 before. And I think that, this is coming out party. Do I think in a pick'em, -110, -110, am I betting on Corey? Hell no. I'm betting on Merab. I think Merab wins this fight 65 to 70% of the time. But you're giving me plus 320, and that's worth it all day long. All day long, it's worth the 320 for a 1-3 shot.
Well, gentlemen. I've enjoyed taking my cat nap. I got a coffee. I went out to Subway.
That was
came
the
back,
big one.
so,
That was the big
right.
one.
Glad to see you fellas still going at it, man. It's awesome here. But final comment here from Mr. Fish before the main event. Sandhagen is a top 5 gatekeeper, not a top 10 gatekeeper. Ooh,
I agree.
there it is.
Marvin Vittori.
I agree.
Kind of. Oh yeah, Marvin Vittori, man. He is the unanimous gatekeeper. We freaking love giving him shit. But that said, fellas, we are jumping on over here, guys, to the main event of the evening. This one's getting real fun now. But once again, a pretty surprising line to a lot of people after what happened in the last fight here for each of these guys. Ankalaev coming in here -285 on the money line. Alex Pereira coming in +230 on the dog money. Cheddar, I don't know if you've checked it. If you haven't yet, I'll go check it right now. But I don't know what the money is coming in on this fight, but I would be absolutely shooketh if it wasn't a shit load of money on Alex Pereira here at damn near +250 odds. So that said, Kenton, let's start here with Pereira, man. Is it disrespect or is it correct?
Maybe a little bit disrespectful. I think it could be closer, as it has been with a lot of the odds on these fights. I think they've been off on a lot of them. But ultimately, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't see Pereira coming away with this one. And I think that was really displayed in the last fight. I mean, they went the distance, sure. But there wasn't really a moment in that fight that I really felt like Pereira was going to win it. And I'm kind of expecting more of the same here. I mean, Magomed Ankalaev, he's one of those fighters that like doesn't really excite me, but I don't see losing, I mean, that's kind of just what I see going on here. He's going to basically just do the same thing is what I'm thinking. He's going to, take the fight deep and then just, ultimately point fight. So, I mean, yeah, I just don't see this really going in Pereira's favor at the end of the day.
Cheddar,
fair. I've made a good amount of money betting on Alex Pereira, like pick'ems in as a dog, and I don't know how to explain it. This is in no way like an official expert analysis by any means. By the way, the line moved 25 points in the time that we've been doing this show right now.
Yep.
It was 205 when we started the show. Now it's 230. There's just something off about this. I'm going to throw a half a unit on Pereira just because the value's there. but that should tell you like my level of confidence here. Like something's not right about this fight. Something's not right about Alex. I don't know if it has to do with him maybe going to heavyweight or thinking about retiring or taking some boxing match, some influencer, making money and cashing out. I think he's 38 years old. I don't think he's in that same space that he used to be. And I will be honest about his recent fights. Jamal Hill and Yuri. I mean, Yuri is very much a puzzle for most guys in the division. But for the champ, I mean, I don't see Yuri as a top 3 contender, but it's just because of the lack of talent in light heavyweight that he's there. Kind of like Khalil. I see him as like, maybe in the top 15, like a 12 or a 10 rank guy. And Jamal Hill's a joke. So those are his 2 big title wins. There's something wrong about Alex Pereira. I don't know what it is. So I'm throwing a half a unit on him on the money line. I'm sure as hell not betting Ankalaev at almost 300. I like him a lot, and I will bet him at minus 500 or more against literally anybody else in the division.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, like, I absolutely agree. Like, I think part of the reason why Pereira was like on that run in the division was simply because, I mean, there's just not too much tough competition in that division at this moment, especially in the top 15. So, I mean, really, who else did he have besides Hill and Prohaska and Roundtree?
Right.
Fight? And I mean,
Agreed.
as I was saying before, I like Roundtree. I like Prohaska. I think they're challenging, but there was no denying that Pereira was better. Pereira was
100%.
better than all these fighters. And now we have Ankalaev, and now we have someone who legitimately makes us think like, is Pereira better? No, we don't know. At this point, I would say I know that he's not, but like when they were first fighting, it was a mystery about like, oh my gosh, this is actually like a tough opponent for him. And I think that it was like a while since he really had that sort of test, for one thing. And again, he's getting, I definitely agree that he's probably getting to the point of his career where he's probably thinking about, either moving up to heavyweight or retiring. So it's just not the same sort of drive.
One thing I'll say about a big difference I've noticed in Ankalaev, he looked a little like, I'm not going to say scared. He didn't look scared, but he looked a little like, oh shit. What is this? When he fought Thiago Santos. And I did not see that at all in the Pereira fight. He didn't look hesitant or like abrasive or like he didn't have any of those bad tendencies or vibes that he was giving off in that fight. He looked way more confident. And in my opinion, Alex Pereira is a way scarier monster than Thiago Santos. And I think, Ankalaev is just way more confident. He's gotten to the peak of his career, and he knows that he can beat anybody, and he's already done it. And I often reference this quote from Teddy Atlas: once you win the belt, it instantly makes you 30% better. And Ankalaev just won the belt, and he already beat Pereira. So Do I think he probably wins? Yeah. Do I think there's something off about this fight, though, and I'm still going to bet on a little bit, just a tiny bit on the dog anyway? Yeah, it's just a gut feeling.
Well, gentlemen, I don't know if you guys got anything else here for this one, but I've come this far. I have enjoyed not debating on this show. This has actually been kind of fun. So thank you guys for that. I'll be lame. I'm going to keep going, man. Give me the dog here in this one. Once again, this is a little bit more of a fan picking me. My little brother works out at a sports bar or a nightclub. He's a bouncer at a bar in Connecticut. And about 2 weeks ago, or not even 2, a little 3 weeks ago, he was out there, and Pereira and his crew came through and said that they were the nicest dudes ever, and he took a picture with them, and everything was cool. And Alex this, and he's like, dude, I thought he was big, and I saw him in person, and I was like, holy shit. He's like, he's a massive man. He's like, whatever happens, bro, next fight, we're taking this guy on the money line. And I said, bet. So I'm committed already, but genuinely, plus 230, like Cheddar said. it can't be right. Something's wrong. If you bet that, you're probably going to lose your money. The sports book's not going to give a fan favorite at plus 230 and often let you cash on that. It's just not going to happen, but it's good enough to take a shot on it. So good luck to you guys there. We got about 2 minutes left here for you guys, so we will make this very quick. Each of us going to give you our favorite underdog straight up in the fights here on Saturday night. So Cheddar, starting with you, my man, who is your favorite dog for the people?
Well, I already talked about Abu. Already talked about Corey. Another dog on this card that I like is Chris Gutierrez. He's plus 370. He's a massive underdog. I don't know if that line changed. Let me check it out. But Chris Gutierrez has fought some serious competition. He's a gamer. He's one of those guys, and I reference this a lot because you don't see it all the time, but when you do, it's really exciting. He fights to the level of his opponent, and I love that, especially when you're fighting up. That's when you make the biggest strides in your career and when you make the biggest adjustments that you need. He's fighting Farid Basharat, who hasn't had that much experience at the UFC and doesn't have a big resume yet. He's really good. But Chris Gutierrez, I mean, this guy has fought some serious talent before, and he's shown some flashes of absolute brilliance. So I like him at plus 370. I like him. I thought he should be a dog in this, but not 370. So I think he gets written off a lot because he doesn't have a big name. That's my dog, Chris Gutierrez. My biggest one is Corey, but I'm throwing a unit on Chris Gutierrez as well. And the big bet for me so far, this is an easy one. Pereira and Ankalaev go over 2.5. Parlayed with Austin Vanderford. That dude is so underrated because he's a Bellator guy in the UFC, and he fights nobodies. This guy was the stud of Bellator, and they're giving him like nobodies in the UFC. Ramiz Brahimaj. Name one exciting Ramiz Brahimaj fight you've ever watched. I mean, the guy, he's not terrible, but he's not. Look, Austin Vanderford is fringe ranked talent, and Ramiz Brahimaj is fringe UFC talent. Why? I mean, why? This is a silly line, in my opinion. It's actually about plus 103 right now, that line for that parlay. So that's what I'm taking. Austin Vanderford plus the main event over 2.5.
Bang. Kenton, who are we looking at, man?
I mean, we talked a lot about Roundtree. I like Roundtree. I'm taking him as the underdog. I think that ultimately he's going to surprise a lot of people. I think that he's really going to show what he can offer against Prochazka. Another fight that I think would be, a good underdog pick is Ju Sung Yu against Daniel Santos. A tough fight
pick,
for him.
Kenton. You took my pick. All right, guys. Well, I'm doubling down on whatever he says right now. So there we go.
I mean, the guy is 9-0, just coming off of a win against Jeka Sergey, or however you pronounce that. But
UFC fighters, bro. Yeah.
Solid win. Obviously not as much of a test as Daniel Santos is going to be for sure. But, at 9-0, exciting guy. I think that this is a fun one and a good underdog pick at the end of the day.
Yeah. I'm doubling down on that. And I guess since you kind of took mine, I guess I'll still give one. I'm going to go with the main event, man. I'm going to stick with Pereira here. It just feels to me like the best fighter at those odds that I can take here. I can take Josh Emmett or someone like that, but I'm not convinced on it. Roundtree, I don't hate it, but I actually wish it was better value on Roundtree. So for me, I think Pereira's that guy. But like Cheddar said, man, approach with caution. Against literally any other fighter in the UFC, I'm taking Ankalaev to beat them like every single time. I think the dude's an absolute animal. So if there's risk in it, guys, but there's a lot of value on this card. You're probably either going to lose like every fucking bet you put in, or you're going to make a ton of money here this weekend. It's not going to go any other way. So make sure you guys tap in also on Instagram at CB_UFC. Our boy Cheddar got you guys covered with all the UFC knowledge. Once in a while, he throws up a little something about, some New York Giants or something like that. But he's got Jackson Dart now, no Malik Neighbors. So who knows? Maybe he'll get real loud, real quiet. I don't know. Mr. Kenton, guys, give him a follow at Kenton_H_ myself at Rig Sports Talk. Follow the Sports Forum at Sports Forum CO and Lizard Sports Bets there on Instagram as well. Sportsforummedia.com for all you major sports fans articles on all different sports for you guys and upcoming shows as well. Best of luck here on Saturday night, guys. This has been Picking Winners, and until next time, we'll catch you.